Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journal channel. Today we're going to be playing with stencils and creating some clarity using art. So I'm starting off with my Lifestyle Illusions journal, and I am going to start off with putting some collage down on my page. This is what I tend to do when I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing. It's just a great way to break that blank page thing that happens. So I'm just going in, I've got some tissue paper, I've got some napkins, I've got some vintage text. I'm just chucking it all in the background. It's just a really great way to sort of make the background interesting without having to think about it too much. Then I'm going in and using the colours that I have in the background, so those pinks and yellows. Again, taking the decision making out of my hand. The colour was already there, so I'm just using that colour. I have decided that I'm just going to do a little bit of ghosting. I love this sort of trio of colours. So you've got your yellow, you've got your magenta, and then you've got turquoise at the top. It's an almost primary colour triad, so it works, and you've got a really nice balance. I'm then being really cheeky and lazy because I've spread out a bit of my glass mat. So instead of putting my paint on my glass mat, I'm putting it into my journal. So that'll be a used up page for next day. So these are gorgeous face stencils. They're brand new from Natalie May's scrapbooking. Anyone who knows me knows I am an absolute sucker for face stencils. So I was very, very excited to see these. So I've just popped in these two faces. I love the size of them. They're just, you know, perfect that you can sort of combine them on the page. And I don't know what it is. I think it's probably just me, but I need to do everything in duos. So with them, I've just, you know, put two on each page. I think, in fact, that, you know, because these are, one's face is slightly larger than the other, it kind of reminds me of, you know, mother and daughter, I think. So I just really like that effect. Once I've finished, I'm just going in with some face paint and painting out the background somewhat. So obviously those of you who've followed my channel before know I'm not afraid of having, you know, multicolored rainbow faces, but in this case I want to make it look a little bit more realistic. You will also notice on this page I have painted over her facial features. I'm not too concerned about that. The great thing about having stenciled faces is the fact that the stencil doesn't change, so you can overlay them really, really easily and re-stencil over the top again. If you hand drawn it and then you're trying to hand draw it over again, there's always going to be little bits of variations. So having a stencil is really, really handy. So what I'm going in with is some darker pink and doing a little bit of shadowing over the face. Both faces are turned inwards, so the light's coming from outside, so that's why it's lighter on the outside of their faces and darker as you go towards the inside when they're turning in against each other. I don't tend to think about light sources all that much, I have to say, but in this case that just made sense for these two stencils. So that's, I suppose, what we think about when we're doing these things. So with the flowers on this one, I'm just re-stenciling over with some white, and this is one of the stencils from the Art by Marlene advent calendar, and it just fitted in really nicely with the stencils they had. I wanted this to be slightly tropical, so I've used the white so I can really boost the colours of what I'm painting over the top. Then I'm just going in with paint pens and popping in the colour onto the flowers. So obviously you could paint that in. I just am lucky enough I've got the paint pen sitting there, so I find that very convenient to do my colouring as I go along. So obviously I'm using different shades and blending them together a little bit to add a little bit of extra detail into them. So it's just a really fun way to do it, but having that white base is really important to get that really vibrant colour. If I tried to do that over the top of the black, it's just going to make it really tricky. Once I've done that, I'm just going back in and neatening up, particularly going over the face and the eyes to sharpen them up again. And you'll notice that particularly on this one where I painted over her face. So having that stencil just is a great way of just really helping you to control the face and to put in your, not be afraid, I suppose, to put in your shading and so on, because you can go back in and add your black details over the top without too much worry. With the flowers, to help pop them out from the background, I'm just going in with black pen, being really, really scribbly over the top. And again, you can see what a difference that makes, pulling it out from the background. It seems really silly, you know, just, you know, a little bit of black pen, but it makes such a difference in the end. Same with putting a little bit of white through her hair. You get those sort of like shiny little bits of highlights. So adding the extra detail in is one way to make the stencil your own and to make it pop out from the background, I suppose. With their bodies, I had a lot of space there, which I knew I could use for a quote of some sort, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. So I decided that I was going to use stamps. Can't remember what I was going to do. The other thing I wanted to do is to make a difference between the background and their bodies. So with very watery blue paint, I've just added it and made it slightly darker, so it sort of blends into the background a little bit. The good thing about using, it's almost like a glaze over the top, is you can still see everything that's underneath it. It's just toning it a little bit so that you've got a difference in shade and a difference in colour from the foreground. So these are phone stamps, which again are from Niamh. I think they originally come on 2 long sheets, and I've just cut out the individual letters. I personally find it a lot easier to do that, because then I can do this. I can actually write the words out the way I want them to. If it was in a large sheet, I'd be stamping them onto cardboard, cutting them out individually, then gluing them on, which is just that extra bit of effort that, you know, I'm too lazy to do. So we've got Clarity Brings Serenity, and I really love this in the fact that it just fitted with the 2 images of the women beautifully. So again, even though I'm using permanent ink and it dries fairly quickly, I am hitting it with a heat gun. I am very much hands-on in my journal. I work very quickly. I know these videos are sped up, but most times what I'm doing in my journal takes me an hour or less, so I am working quite quickly. So if I can put my hand in wet paint or a wet glue or something that will smudge, I will do it, which is why you see me using my heat gun so regularly, to make sure everything is dry before I do the next bit. With my white pen, I'm just going around and helping to pop out the letters. And here you can see the close-up, so you can see that collage in the background, you can see the shading on the faces, you can see the detail I've put into the flowers. It all ties together. There's lots of repetition of colours and patterns throughout, but it all blends together in the end. So I hope you have a go at using some face stencils. Highly recommend ones from Niamh, but you can get them from lots of different places. But have a go using face stencils and re-stenciling over the top, because it is a game changer. Until next time, bye for now.